So I will say right now it's about 9:30, soon to be turning 9:34, because I'm looking at my time right now. We were trying to start at 9 a.m. Somewhere between 9 and 10 was what I officially told Ashley. He basically was like, oh, okay, fine, somewhere between 9 and 10. So pretty much smack dab right in the middle of 9 and 10. So that works. And for everybody that's listening live, my apologies for the wait. I probably should have set it for 10 and just said, hey, we're gonna start early. But that's how you're getting the start of the final podcast of 2017. In some areas of the world, it is already 2018, but here in somewhat chilly but sunny Orlando, Florida, it is rather still 2017. I still have one more shift before my year is over. And what am I doing beforehand? We're going to talk about the Golden Globes, everyone. Welcome to another edition of yet another awards prediction podcast, exclusively here on the Popcast Network. My name is Owen. Joining me, as always, is Ashley.
Howdy do.
And for our awards coverage, we are very happy to bring in AJ as well.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep. So we are going to discuss both television and film when it comes to the Golden Globes. We've got the Globes prediction video coming out. We have right now for you guys our podcast on the next set of awards predictions, which is going to be the Critics' Choice Awards, which we have kind of glossed over a little bit in the previous years, but we're going to be doing that coming up soon. We've got our guilds, which is the SAG, the directors, the producers, and the Writers Guild. That's going to be coming up in the near future, as well as the final Academy Awards predictions, where Ashley, AJ, and myself try to correctly predict every single category at the Academy Awards.
I've literally just looked into it. The BAFTAs are getting announced before the guilds, which is interesting.
Interesting. Well, BAFTAs will be on that lineup as well. And, of course, we'll be doing the Film Independent Spirit Awards, too. So, yeah, that's going to be it'll be a fun time for awards coverage. Of course, awards coverage rolls right into WrestleMania season, and that rolls right into Halloween Horror Nights. So, yeah, we have constant podcasts coming in the very near future for everyone. So, stay tuned. So, once again, I want to thank everyone for joining us this morning. And if you're listening in archive, happy 2018, everyone. So, yeah. So, let's get this started correctly. So, with our prediction videos, we usually start and do it in order. So we'll start with AJ, we go to Ashley, then I finish it out. And we're going to go through every single one of the categories and decide who we think is going to win the Globe. So, AJ, let's get us started.
Well, I'll say the first place we always start is supporting in TV. And as always, we know that they're usually split up comedy, drama, and miniseries or TV movie, but supporting just puts all those together.
Right.
So we're going to start with supporting actress for TV, where we have Laura Dern for Big Little Lies, Ann Dowd for The Handmaid's Tale, Chrissy Metz for This Is Us, Michelle Pfeiffer for The Wizard of Lies, and Shailene Woodley for Big Little Lies.
Okay.
Obviously, the first thing to note is what the Emmys did, even though that really doesn't make a difference because the Globes do whatever they want.
Right.
But the Emmys went fucking crazy for Big Little Lies. It won like almost everything.
Right.
And you look here and you see like The Handmaid's Tale has been a big deal. Wizard of Lies seems like it would be a bigger deal than it actually has been. And having seen the movie, I can tell you that's because it's pretty much quite middle ground despite the talent behind it. But once again, my opinion itself probably doesn't matter. So just going totally on not a whole lot, I'm going to say that given her name and the prestige of the project it seems to have, I'm just going to stick with the Emmys here and say Laura Dern.
All right. Ashley?
I'm probably going to go safe as well. I think it's sort of a tough one to call, but I'm going to go with Laura over Shailene Woodley. I think Big Little Lies is probably going to have this one, at least this time around. So I'm going with Laura Dern as well.
All right. there's always a time, and it looks like it's going to come right away, that we split the panel. And it would be easy for me to say, oh, yeah, I concur, because I do this a lot during the award season, as you guys have been following along for a while. No. But I'm actually going to go out in left field here. Big Little Lies, I do see, has got 6 nominations all across the board. And like AJ said, they really took to it, obviously. When it comes down to it, that's basically how you see if a property is going to do well. If a television or film project is going to do well in the award ceremony, basically bases it on if you get a lot of nominations. You usually think you're going to win at least a few of them. While I believe that is the case potentially down the line, I'm not going there this time around. I'm actually going to go with a surprise win here. Now, I have 2 options that I could go with, and one of which has already been mentioned, both of which have already been mentioned, but I have to see which one I want to actually pick. So I know it's a roundabout way to get to nothing, but I'm going to go out on a complete limb, and I'm going to give it to Michelle Pfeiffer for Wizard of Lies.
That on name value, or
potentially a little bit. I mean, I'm also looking at the actual concept of Wizard of Lies as well, the Bernie Madoff story. I mean, it's definitely something that is pretty strong in the lexicon of pop culture, and I think it's something that actually might have a little bit of weight behind it. The other option I had here was Ann Dowd. Again, when it comes to the television categories, I do usually pick with name recognition, and sometimes that's a mistake. Here, I'm not exactly sure it is. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Michelle Pfeiffer here.
Yeah, I was going to say, if for some reason I didn't go with Laura Dern, my next choice would have been Ann Dowd.
She was my second choice, so I'm going to go with Pfeiffer here.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if... Oh, great, they don't... Oh, they really do it separate in the Critics' Choice Awards, so that's annoying. So, yeah.
All right.
I have to leave that as a possible.
All right. Let's move forward.
Supporting actor for TV, we have David Harbour for Stranger Things, Alfred Molina for Feud, Alexander Skarsgård for Big Little Lies, Christian Slater for Mr. Robot, and David Thewlis for Fargo. If I had my way, of course, it would be David Thewlis, but then again, he's the only one I've seen, but he was amazing. David Harbour won a lot of hearts with that SAG speech last year, so I wouldn't rule him out for anything. Slater has already won this, and I think Mr. Robot doesn't quite have the charge it once had.
Okay.
And once again, they love the show. He won the Emmy, so why not? Alexander Skarsgård. Another thing I wanted to say about the Big Little Lies cast, not that this fully matters because it's obviously a different voting body, but the cast for Big Little Lies is so beloved. I've noticed that it's SAG, where they don't even have supporting for TV. Some of the supporting players of Big Little Lies still manage to break out and get nominated at SAG as well, so it's clearly a big deal.
Of course.
So I think Skarsgård's a pretty safe bet here.
Okay. Ashley?
I'm gonna mix it up and go with Alfred Molina. I have been catching it over the last few weeks. I don't know why I'm saying last few weeks. They literally put the entire series up on iPlayer, and I have downloaded it. I just haven't watched it on the computer. And it's Alfred Molina being Alfred Molina, so that's what I'm doing.
All right. Wow, we're gonna split like left and right today, it looks like. Although, and I bring this up every single time, Adrian is exactly where I'm going with this. Ashley, I do appreciate you bringing up Alfred Molina because it gives me the chance to bring up my favorite Molina performance in the history of ever, the Spaniard in Maverick. And that is always what he will forevermore be, regardless of what he does in Hollywood. And that's not a dig, that's just honesty. when it comes down to it, I do see the precursors, and I think that I'm going to go with one. I do think that this is going to be an interesting year for a lot of TV properties, and I think that they're going to kind of spread the love a little bit. So I also am going to go with a different choice here than both Ashley and AJ. I'm going with David Harbour. I think Stranger Things is actually going to be kind of big this year when it comes to the Golden Globes. And this is where it starts.
That's not a bad bet.
Despite episode 7.
I haven't seen it yet. I'm sorry. I haven't had the time. I need to start TV in 2018. That needs to be one of my...
seen it, but I saw all the social media criticism for episode 7.
All right. So yeah, that's what I'm going to go with. Up next,
we have actress in a miniseries or TV movie. It's this is pretty easy because there's only 3 things here. We have Jessica Biel for The Sinner, Nicole Kidman for Big Little Lies, Jessica Lange for Feud, Susan Sarandon for Feud, and Reese Witherspoon for Big Little Lies. Well, Kidman won the Emmy, and it would be really easy for me to go with... I haven't seen Big Little Lies. I actually have it ordered on DVD, but it hasn't gotten here yet. So, but the thing is Kidman and Witherspoon are like my 2 favorite actresses.
yeah, they are. And this is great. This category is great for you.
But the problem is, and we'll get to this problem later when we talk about 3 Billboards, it's one of those cases where I don't know whether to go with it because it seems like a good bet or if it's wishful thinking. I can't tell. So I just went ahead and said that the Globes will completely throw us off and go with one of the Feud women, and I think that would be Jessica Lange before Sarandon. So I said Jessica Lange. Even though it's very likely it'll be one of the Big Little Lies women.
Ashley?
Considering she produced it, and it's the only way I think it's going to get recognition in here, I'm going to say Reese Witherspoon.
And again, we'll go with the wishful thinking because I'm all about that, as you guys have known throughout the years when we've done this. Especially when it comes to things I have absolutely no stake in whatsoever. But what I do have stake in, even though it's not a television performance, are film performances. And the chance that there is going to be a double win for the cast of Moulin Rouge makes me super excited. And I think it's very possible that it happens. And I think this is where it begins. I'm going to go with Nicole Kidman for Big Little Lies.
Also, does anybody realize the irony of the fact that the actresses playing Joan Crawford and Bette Davis might literally be having a feud just like they did, 50, 60 years ago for whatever happened to Baby Jane?
It's like the Andy Kaufman thing all over again. Is it work or is it a shoot? We'll never know. AJ, actor time.
Yeah, actor in a miniseries or TV movie is De Niro for Wizard of Lies, Jude Law for The Young Pope, Kyle MacLachlan for Twin Peaks, Ewan McGregor for Fargo, and Jeffrey Rush for Genius. Well, I have the advantage of having seen 3 of these, more or less. I saw Fargo in its entirety, The Wizard of Lies, and I saw the first episode of The Young Pope. Not that that's going to have any bearing, but I don't know why, because I could really see it being any of these, pretty much. I think what Ewan McGregor did was probably the most impressive. But for some reason, even though they didn't give the show any other nominations, it's just so out there that they nominated him, period. I almost feel like they're going to go with him. So I think they're going to completely go off and go with Kyle MacLachlan, actually.
All right. Ashley?
For the same reason, in terms of no other nominations, so why is it there? I'm going to say Jeffrey Rush for Genius.
I'm probably going to regret not going with him.
I mean, I see where you're both coming from honestly. And I honestly think you can't count out De Niro either, really. Like, this whole category, any of the five can win. They really can.
At the
And it's the
Globes,
Globes.
I was gonna say, at the Globes and the TV categories, I feel like you can always say that pretty much.
You can, and it's especially this category. This is a strong. This is a powerful list of five. I mean, I could see any of them walking out with the win. But the thing about it is, it's just like I said. I've already said it, and I'm gonna have to go with it. Ewan McGregor for Fargo.
This will be like, with them both winning and having both been in Moulin Rouge, it's kind of like that one time at the Globes where Hugh Laurie and Gina Davis won in the same night, and everybody pointed out it was Stuart Little's parents.
Yeah. These are the kind of things that are going to happen when we do our, after the award shows are over, when we do our recap podcast, we're going to be talking about things like this. Let's go to comedy and musical.
Actually, we have to do best miniseries or TV movie.
I missed that one. My apologies. Oh, I don't have it listed here. It's up at a different location. My apologies. Continue.
We got Big Little Lies, Fargo, Feud, The Sinner, and Top of the Lake. I had no idea Top of the Lake was still on, but
That's a good sign, isn't it?
Top of the Lake, China Girl.
Well, once again, it could be a few things, but I think the pretty easy bet here would be Big Little Lies, so that's just what I'm going with.
Okay. Ashley?
I'm throwing the curveball because of how good the first series was. I'm saying Top of the Lake, China Girl. And there's got to be a reason why it's in there, where once again it's not nominated for anything else. Keep in mind as well, at Cannes, they showed the first two episodes at one screening, and then at another screening they showed the entire 5 hours of it. And it got standing ovations all the time.
Is it still Jane Campion that's doing it?
Yes.
I think she has like a pretty strong Cannes connection, I think.
True, but you had Nicole Kidman in that as well. So, and Gwendolyn Christie. She got more screen time in that than Last Jedi. So yeah.
Welcome, Bry Guy 2000 to chat. So, this is tough. Globes always throw curveballs. And I want to go with Fargo here. And a part of me kind of wants to go with Feud here. But I'm going to have to stick with my gut here and go with, there's got to be a reason why there's so many nominations. And if you look at how I have it running, it only has one win. So if it goes by my predictions, it's got to win at least one more. So yeah, I'm going to go with Big Little Lies as well.
All right, now we can do what you said.
Anyway, Bry Guy, happy 18th birthday, and happy New Year to you as well. Yeah, we can go into comedy and musical now, because I totally forgot about the way that Wikipedia has everything laid out. It's not as like in order as it is otherwise, so that's the reason why I completely forgot about
they do all the actor and actresses before they do the actual three for
right
miniseries, musical, comedy, and drama.
All right. Well, let's go into our next set of categories.
All right, we're going to go into actress in a comedy series, where we have Pamela Adlon for Better Things, Alison Brie for Glow, Rachel Brosnahan for The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, Issa Rae for Insecure, and Frankie Shaw for Snilf. It's all about the acronyms, apparently.
Yeah, totally.
Pamela Adlon's been getting some attention because isn't Better Things the show that was or formerly was by Louis C.K., or he had like a big stake in it?
That is correct.
Rachel Brosnahan was kind of already on the map because, speaking of controversial figures, she had a pretty big part on House of Cards for a while. I don't know what kind of attention she got for. I think she got like an Emmy nomination, but I thought her performance on that was like really inconsistent. So I don't know what kind of positive feedback she has in general. And Issa Rae's been here a few times, so I think the new acronym women it comes down to. I guess based on name value and the somewhat popularity of the show, I went ahead and went with Alison Brie.
All right.
She's got the new show, which usually helps. I mean, a couple of them do, but still.
Ashley?
I'm biased. Alison Brie for Glow.
Well, yeah, definitely. I mean, considering what we do on this network on the regular, yeah, we're going to have to go with Alison Brie for Glow.
It's a damn good role, though. And they always, as AJ said, they do like giving it. Remember what's her name from? Oh, she did the bloody Ray Bradbury thing. She had the comedy Super Ex-Girlfriend. No, not Super Ex-Girlfriend. Forgotten her name. It's that memorable. But they did the same. Was it the same last year for Jane the Virgin?
Gina Rodriguez?
Yeah, they like to go weird. They don't go for sort of the obvious one.
This is true. That's another thing about the Globes, but it's hard to predict because it's not always obvious.
I wouldn't say Glow is an obvious one. Yeah, it's this show about women's wrestling. Probably left field enough for them to go, yeah. Tick.
Fair point.
So we got actor in a comedy series now.
Yes, we do.
This is an interesting lineup. We have Anthony Anderson for Blackish, Aziz Ansari for Master of None, Kevin Bacon for I Love Dick, William H. Macy for Shameless, and Eric McCormick for Will and Grace. Obviously, Bacon has the upper hand because his show is brand new. McCormick has a decent advantage because the whole comeback show thing. But even looking at that, and the fact that Anthony Anderson and Aziz's shows are just gaining popularity, Macy always seems like he's in such a safe spot.
Yeah.
Regardless of how long the show has been on, he's always a contender. And it's always possible. Like it wasn't that long ago he won SAG for it finally. And he's just been so consistent. He's the one case to where it's like, I don't think the fact that he's won before matters. I think he still can again. So I'm gonna stick with Macy.
Ashley?
I was tempted to say Kevin Bacon because I can't wait for everybody to just read I Love Dick when they're doing the nominations on the thing. But screw it. He's been getting a lot of attention over the last few months. Not just through the show, for other stuff as well. I'm going to say Aziz Ansari for Master of None.
I want to go with Aziz so bad. Anybody that knows my my fandom of his stand-up is going to be like, why? Why did you pick him? You should have picked him right away. And my response is, well, I can't because there's too many other actors in here that are probably going to take it from him. So, that being said, I'm actually just going to bite the bullet here, and I'm going to say that Eric McCormick is an interesting one here because the Will and Grace train moving through, I could see that it would be a possibility. Like AJ alluded to, William H. Macy always seems pretty solidified here. Bacon could foreseeably win. Again, one of these other categories that any of the five can take it. You know what? I mean, honestly, I always go with my head, and sometimes I go with my heart. This time, I'm just going to go with, I'm just going to go with my heart. I'm going to go with Aziz here as well. But
I think he's already won like 2 Emmys just for writing it.
Yeah, do not be surprised if this is McCormick's win. But I'm going to go with Aziz.
It'd be really interesting if McCormick won because SAG went with Sean Hayes.
Yeah, that's a very interesting situation. What we got here? Right guy says first time Julia Louis-Dreyfus is not here. Yeah, well, that is true.
Not only is she usually consistent, you think this time around it would have been sympathy votes too.
Yeah, this seemed to be a lot more towards. I mean, I don't know what the networks that are involved with the actress category, but still. It's just Netflix has really changed the game up a bit, because when you normally would have broadcast networks and cable networks vying for these spots, it's now Netflix is like, you know what, we're here too. So it's
Yeah, because it's also worth noting, not only is she not here, but Veep's not in comedy series either.
it is not.
Speaking of that, should we do that category?
That's where we're going.
All right, we've got Blackish, The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, Master of None, Smilf, and Will and Grace. Master of None seems like a possibility, and people seem to really love Blackish.
Yep.
Obviously, Marvelous Mrs. Maisel and Smilf, I think, are the new ones. But I have no idea what it is, because I don't really know Globe statistics. But one of the headlines I saw before the nominations came out was something about Will and Grace having a Golden Globes curse. I don't know if that has to do with nominations or wins or what, but whatever. Based on not a whole lot, I'm going to go ahead and say Will and Grace, actually.
Okay. And Ashley?
Trying to check on the awards situation.
Oh, okay. We'll talk about that in a minute then.
Well, considering how well it did last year, and because there's got to be something in here, especially considering when we get to the film awards, where Get Out got snubbed in quite a few things. They might go, well, please appease us, and they'll go Blackish. So I'm going to go with that. Again, though, it's something that's had a lot of momentum, just like Atlanta did. Admittedly, it was Atlanta's debut season, but it's momentum. And I think, Marvelous Mrs. Maisel on Amazon's probably getting a second season anyway.
Well, I looked into the actual curse, and I can tell you what the curse is. With its nominations at the Golden Globes, there has been almost 30. It's now officially 29 nominations at the Golden Globes throughout the entire categories, and 0 wins. Never won once. You know what? I think that ends this year. I'm going to go with Will and Grace for Best Musical or Comedy.
All right.
Drama.
I'm trying to quickly try and see what beat it all the years. Unsurprised. So, yeah, Sex and the City, Curb Your Enthusiasm, The Office, Desperate Housewives, and that's it, I think.
Oh, fair point.
3 more and we're done with TV.
It's always good.
All right, we're going to do Actress in a Drama Series, where we have Katrina Balfe for Outlander, Claire Foy for The Crown, Maggie Gyllenhaal for The Deuce, Katherine Langford for 13 Reasons Why, and Elizabeth Moss for The Handmaid's Tale. The really easy choice here is Elizabeth Moss, because I know The Handmaid's Tale did really well earlier. And obviously Claire Foy seems to always be a decent bet. But for some reason, I guess because I feel like we've seen her name around here a lot in regards to the Globes, even though this is a brand new show, but we've seen her name a lot before. For some reason, I just immediately gravitated towards Maggie Gyllenhaal.
Okay.
But, I mean, Elizabeth Moss is the really safe bet. But because I just immediately went there, I'm going to stick with Maggie Gyllenhaal.
Ashley?
As crazy as The Deuce is, considering, it is about porn in the 70s, it's basically the television version of Boogie Nights. I'm going too obvious for, even though she hasn't got a nomination for Top of the Lake, Elizabeth Moss gets in here for Handmaid's Tale because it's proof that she's the reason why I don't say Claire Foy is because she's got the problem of, one, it's the last time she's got the role because she ain't going to be in season 3, and 2, she won last year.
Yeah, she's got to get busy playing Elizabeth Salander now for some reason.
Like, you got your recognition last year. Go away. Replace you with Olivia Colman because she is bae.
I really want to go with my heart here in more ways than one and go with Catherine Langford. But I'm just glad she got nominated, honestly, especially with the Globes. Obviously everyone knows my opinions on 13 Reasons Why. I probably haven't been able to voice them on the network very much. It's on my Twitter. But yeah, I love the show. I can't wait for season 2. Love the books. Absolutely big fan of the book. And I'm very happy she's here. I really am. That being said, though, I mean, there's a lot of different directions to go here. It's probably best to go safe. I mean, Claire Foy is a good bet at this point, since I'm going completely out on left field for what I'm picking for drama. So I don't know. It's just telling me that The Deuce is Boogie Nights of the TV show. Yeah, I'm in. Maggie Gyllenhaal.
Interesting thing to note in the Critics' Choice Awards, only, well, Balfoy and Moss appear in this. Apparently, The Good Fight was better, and Orphan Black. Yeah, I got nothing. Oh, and Robin Wright for House of Cards. That's awkward.
All right.
So we're going to actor in a drama series.
We are going to actor in a drama series.
We have Jason Bateman for Ozark, Sterling K. Brown for This Is Us, Freddie Highmore for The Good Doctor, Bob Odenkirk for Better Call Saul, and Leah Schreiber for Ray Donovan, as always. This one was kind of a no-brainer for me. It's a brand new show, a show people seem to like, and a name people seem to like, and somebody who, obviously, we know that he's gone into dark territories recently with stuff like The Gift. But as far as him being on TV, people usually go immediately to Arrested Development.
Mm-hmm.
A drama like Ozark is going to seem like a total 180. So, like, just immediately, it was like, I don't see this being anybody but Bateman.
Ashley.
They didn't nominate Laura Linney. That's a little weird, but yeah.
Considering how good I've heard it is, and the fact that they're basically saying it might not get a second season because it didn't get views. This could be a political thing to say, look, it won a Golden Globe, and then people actually view it. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Bateman as well.
I'm going to split the panel again. He got nominated in 2015 and 2016. I think this is the year that he actually wins. I'm going with Bob Odenkirk for Better Call Saul.
That would be interesting.
Just because I'd like to see it happen. Honestly, I really would. I mean, Bateman winning is probably a good bet, but I mean, I've never been one for rational thought. So
if we're going on the rule of it's not got recognized in any shape or form, and again, Better Call Saul, I don't think it's won anything in its 3 seasons yet at the Globes. I'm not sure, but they do like the fresh stuff until it gets to the end of the season when it's like, well, we'll pay you your dues.
Right.
There's actually quite an absence of fresh stuff in Best Drama Series.
Yep.
I believe we have one fresh thing here, but the nominees are The Crown, Game of Thrones, The Handmaid's Tale, Stranger Things, and This Is Us. Stranger Things and the Game of Thrones are probably always going to be a threat. And they could totally go random like The Crown and This Is Us. But once again, given its acclaim, even though I have Elizabeth Moss losing, which I'm sure I will regret, I feel like The Handmaid's Tale is the way to go.
All right. Ashley?
Yeah, considering how visored I am on Elizabeth Moss. I'm going with Handmaid's Tale as well.
All right. And I'm going to say that I'm just going to go against, again, I'm going to go Stranger Things.
Episode 7! I'm being the internet here. But what I've heard from episode 7 is it's sort of, I'm trying to think of like an equivalent scene in a movie where it's like, okay, it actually just lost the plot. There's nothing I can think of off the top of my head. Possibly in my personal opinion, Mother, with the house bit when it just suddenly turned into like Beavis and Butthead Do America on like tripping balls style stuff. That might be the closest thing. But even to that point, I was like, this is an interesting film. And when it got to whatever happened in that house for about 5 minutes towards the final third, I was like, this jumped the shark so hard, 15 sharks are needed.
All right.
Be the issue for Stranger Things.
There were so many analogies in there. I got lost like 5 minutes ago.
Yes. He says, like the scene in the film. That's the best bit. Symbolism.
Speaking of film.
Yeah, let's talk about the stuff we actually know about now.
Well, for the most part. Until we get, one thing we don't really know much about. We'll get to that in a minute.
Well, I guess we're still going to be kind of taking guesses for a little while because we're going to start with the music portion. Should we start with best song?
Oh, yeah.
All right. We have Remember Me from Coco, Home from Ferdinand, This Is Me from The Greatest Showman, Mighty River from Mudbound, and The Star from Take a Wild Guess.
The fucking Star gets a nomination.
It's still here, and I haven't seen it yet. If this continues and it gets nominated for the Oscar for Best Original Song, I'm gonna have to go see it just based on that.
Well, only one is really sticking out to me here.
I've got about 3.
I imagine this will be that song that like will pretty much be the song for the rest of the year, unless there's something I'm totally not paying attention to.
Yep.
Obviously, that would be Remember Me.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I obviously didn't see it yet, so I don't know what that song is from Ferdinand. But Home has to be the most bland ass name. From what I have heard is a bland ass movie.
Fuck Nick Jonas. He's shit in Jumanji.
Yeah, what the fuck? I had no idea he was in that until I was watching it.
Yes.
I thought I was hallucinating him.
He's shit in Jumanji. The song sort of feels like some literally generic Jonas Brothers track from like 10 years ago. I have no clue why it's in here. But at the same time, why the shit is the Star in here?
Again, once again, it's all about name recognition. When it comes to Best Original Song, they like to have performances that are going to do good on ratings. And you've got Nick.
The Globes don't matter because the Globes don't even perform them.
Right, so it doesn't matter here. It could be anywhere. I have no idea why this stuff's in here.
All I remember is this is where the momentum started for bloody Sam Smith to win. For one of the worst best songs. Then again, it won nothing else. So,
I mean, there's a lot of different options here. Ashley, do you have a winner?
Yeah, I'm going with name stuff as well, except it's Mary J. Blige, so I'm going with Mudbound and Mighty River.
Honestly, that could be the only thing that Mudbound wins at the Oscars. Because honestly, I can't see it not getting nominated.
The interesting issue is Mudbound is going up against Marshall. And with Marshall, you've got Common with the history.
Right.
And arguably, that's probably a more pertinent song than Mudbound is.
I mean, I'll be honest, when it comes down to it, I'm very happy to see Love for the Greatest Showman here. It's the wrong song, but I'm glad that there is a nomination for a song. Like, I'm extremely biased towards Rewrite the Stars, but like The Greatest Show, it's a literally show-stopping opening of the movie.
It's the one they use in the trailer.
Yeah, exactly. And it's the one that everybody knows. It's like, what's that song? That song from Greatest Showman? It's like, yeah, that movie that like Wolverine's in. Yeah, that thing right there. But yeah, honestly, I'm very glad that he got nominated. They're gonna go with name recognition all year, but yeah, it's it's Lopez. It's Kristen Anderson Lopez and Robert Lopez. It worked in Frozen. It's gonna work for Coco. And the song is awesome anyway. It's a memorable song. And it's a song that's going to be remembered many, many years down the road with a lot of the Disney classics.
If you say so.
Did that mean Let It Go's now considered a classic, even though it's 4 years?
As much as I hate to say it, there's a lot of people that would argue that Let It Go will be a Disney classic. It just depends on how far people go with Coco. Like when Coco ends up in the parks eventually, that'll probably help its staying power because obviously they're going to keep it fresh in people's minds. I don't know anybody that doesn't like the movie, so they're always walking out literally remembering the music, and that's the one thing they gravitate towards. So
probably for that first week, it's because they didn't want to be reminded about Olaf's Frozen Adventure.
I didn't watch that which is going to get me when we get to the Oscars, obviously, because I still haven't seen it yet. So I'm going to have to find it.
I don't even know if it's considered. Is it?
I don't think you're going to have to worry about that.
Let me just have a quick look.
I haven't looked at any of the. Yeah,
where my Oscar picks are. Animated short. Yeah, it's not even in there in contention. It's not even. It didn't make it into the 10. So
I'll never see it then. So no worries. So let's continue. More music.
Score. Whatever you want to base this on. We have Dunkirk, Phantom Thread, The Post, The Shape of Water, and 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. I guess it could be anything, but just based on, I don't know. I went with Dunkirk. I guess because it seems the most obvious for the category.
Right. Ashley?
Just because you really don't know half the time whether it's ADR or whether it's the soundtrack. Dunkirk. Han did such a great job at certain points where it's like some of the points it just feels like it's like whether it's the plane whirring or the heartbeats of the people, and it's actually like mixes in and just the music sort of makes that film even better than it probably should be. So that's why I'm going with Zimmer. Also because I can't go for Blade Runner.
I mean, I'm looking at all the winners of the last several years, and I just want to make sure I pronounce his name correctly. So, AJ, how's it pronounced? Alexander Desplat? Is the T silent or not?
Yeah, it is.
It's silent, so Desplat. Okay. Honestly, John Williams is a possibility here. Really is. Zimmer is probably a good safe bet. I would not be shocked with Burwell getting the win. Would be very nice. Desplat hasn't won since, was it 2000? Let's see what I'm looking here. 2006 for The Painted Veil. But usually sticks around in the lineups nearly every year. It's like The King's Speech and Argo and The Imitation Game, The Danish Girl. It's like he's always here. So I think he's winning. I'm going to go with The Shape of Water.
And just in case you think, the Globes are a bit off, yes, they didn't even give a nomination to Grand Budapest Hotel when he won the Oscar for it.
Indeed.
They instead went with The Imitation Game.
Well, that was the year he was up for 2 or 3.
Yeah, no, it's an Imitation Game and Grand Budapest Hotel were up for both. So yeah.
Yes, I recall this.
Also, I didn't even realize this. Grand Budapest Hotel won the Grammy as well. Hogging the
And
spotlight.
like Bry Guy mentioned, going with Remember Me from Coco, because obviously Let It Go didn't win. We went with the U2 song from Mandela, Walk with Freedom. So this is their makeup win, and he's going to go with Phantom Thread for the win here. So Johnny Greenwood.
That's not a bad bet.
No, not at all. Phantom Thread might be a lot more of a threat than people think it is.
I'm just looking at the Grammys for their best song, because this is how much overlap we're getting from last year. We got City of Stars, How Far I'll Go, I Don't Want to Live Forever, thanks Taylor Swift, Never Give Up from Lion, and Stand Up for Something from Marshall. And then for soundtrack, because Game of Thrones doesn't fit here, I'll just mention that as a side, we got Arrival, Dunkirk, Hidden Figures, and La La Land. So the fact that Dunkirk made it in despite all the films from last year, that'll be weird. City of Stars gets the Grammy like a year after the hype died. Wait till James Corden goes, some song from Moonlight. Oh wait, it's a mistake.
Those La La Land and concert shows probably helped a little bit with visibility, though.
Why is James Corden in everything? Even the Ocean's 8 trailer.
Yeah, he's definitely in the Ocean's 8 trailer. I saw it the other day, actually. Moving on.
Foreign.
Oh, God.
We have A Fantastic Woman, First They Killed My Father, In the Fade, Loveless, and The Square. 4 out of 5 of these are on the Oscar shortlist.
What's not?
The one I'm going with, because I think they'll go with it based on name recognition.
Okay.
That would be First They Killed My Father. That's basically, I feel like they're going to go based on name recognition, despite the fact that that's the only one that's not on the Oscar shortlist.
I mean, it's Angelina, so it does make sense.
And it's the most accessible one because it was released on Netflix.
Also makes sense. Ashley?
I don't know. Considering we're going on Hollywood Foreign Press, the one that garnered a lot of acclaim, at least in terms of foreign films and films that were in like people's tops list, like Sight and Sound. The one that came up above everybody was The Square.
The Square won the Palm, didn't it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it was up there as well, like at least within the top 10. I don't think it was like number 1 or whatever. I can't remember in Sight and Sounds, but I got burned by this. Was it last year or the year before with Handmaiden? Just fell off. Then, of course, you've got to take into account Loveless is from the from the director that brought us Leviathan, which is getting quite a lot of acclaim as well. But I'm going to stick with The Square. Because Dominic West.
I forgot to mention this, but something that's kind of in the Fade's favor is that they're actually doing like some serious campaigning for it, because Diane Kruger did one of the roundtables, and the writer of it did one of the roundtables. So they're actually trying to get In the Fade like out there in the campaign trail, which is kind of something you don't typically see in the foreign category.
Which is weird,
right?
That a film attached with Josh Homme might actually get a Golden Globe or an Oscar.
So, Bry Guy says, going with First They Killed My Father from Cambodia, it'll be like Elle, not make the short list and still win the Globe. I'm going to go with Loveless here. Good reason why to pick both that you guys chose, to be honest, because it makes complete sense. And to be quite honest, it's probably crazy to go with something else. But I don't know. It just sometimes when I don't have advanced knowledge of something, I'm imagining what happens when we're about ready to go to commercial or come back from commercial, and I'm hearing the names in my head go through when they say best foreign language film, and then they list a movie.
All I'm hearing is applause, please. Applause.
Yeah, that's all you hear, exactly.
Well, with you going with it with no knowledge, I feel I should probably warn you. It is not, in fact, a movie about a maniacal, no-legged Kenneth Branagh trying to blow up the West. So
it's that damn spider, man, every time.
Also, if we're going on Cannes, whereas The Square won the main prize, Loveless got the jury prize.
I feel a little bit better and more confident now. Thank you guys for that.
That's a lot of foreign press stuff as well. Because the foreign press like quite a lot of Cannes stuff for no reason.
With The Square and Loveless, I'm starting to kind of get vibes of The White Ribbon and A Prophet. So I guess the question now is, which one is the secret in their eyes?
Yeah, in the fade.
Which one's going to get a shitty Western remake 10 years later?
It wasn't that bad. It was definitely not
as good as the original. Not as good as the original. That's the important thing.
True.
Problem is, I don't know how you could do a Western version of The Square. Okay, there's quite a lot of foreign stuff in it, but it's like, oh wow, it's got Elizabeth Moss in it as well. Even more reason to love it.
All right. Moving forward.
Animated. I don't know what the hell happened here.
Okay, here's the thing. I look at this lineup, and the first thing that comes to my mind immediately
is they ran out of ideas. They went outside the box and then completely ran out of ideas immediately.
Why is Lego Batman nowhere to be found in these lineups? Honestly.
It's got some critic wins, but I don't know. But anyway, what we do have here is the Boss Baby, along with the breadwinner, Coco, Ferdinand, and Loving Vincent. Obviously, it's down to Coco and the breadwinner, but even so, I think it's pretty clear we're heading in one direction.
Yeah.
So, Coco.
Ashley?
As much as I want it to be Loving Vincent, because, you know, how else do you do a film that's been oil painted for all 100 minutes? I'm going with Coco.
Yeah, I have to go with Coco here. I can't see the Globes of all places picking anything other than Coco.
All right.
Right guy agrees.
Keep in mind as well, I think at least when we get to the Oscars, there's like rules on what's considered, I think the term is like G Kids or something, which the breadwinner falls into. It's like partly like indie sort of stuff.
Yeah, that's what Bry Guy said. It's the first if Breadwinner wins, it's the first independent animated film to win.
Which, you know, and that'll get complicated as to which one gets the most votes.
Right.
You know, it's sort of nice to see Ferdinand in here. Boss Baby is like Boss Baby to me is the curveball.
I'm confused why it's here.
Yeah, I'm trying to quickly go to my picks and see. I'm surprised that Despicable Me isn't in there. Because I know they might go, oh, it didn't get a lot of critical reception. Still made $1 billion. Normally, money's enough for them to go, yeah, put it in.
I'm kind of surprised we got 2 outside the box choices from them, with the breadwinner and Loving Vincent being here.
I'm not saying it's a stonewall certainty, but because of all the effort that went into it, even if it's just for the animation thing, Loving Vincent's going to be in the Oscar nominations in 3 weeks.
I'd say that's pretty likely. Are we on to screenplay?
We are. Oh, yeah.
The one that gets really complicated because they just bung them all together.
And there's a clear somebody's missing. Somebody's really, really missing. We have Lady Bird, Molly's Game, The Post, The Shape of Water, and 3 billboards outside Ebbing, Missouri. I have no idea where Jordan Peele is.
That is a great question.
They only want to give it to the white people.
So, with Peele out of this, obviously the very next name to go to is Lady Bird.
Yeah, you love saying that, don't you?
But because, and not because of that, by the way.
I know where you're going with this.
For a reason that I will have to explain later.
Yep, I know where you're going with this.
Make this make more sense. And the fact that the Globes have made weird choices here before, like fucking La La Land last year. Despite the fact that Sorkin's in here, despite a major player like 3 billboards being in here, and despite the fact that Greta Gerwig and Peele are like racing for the Oscar in original screenplay.
Yep.
Hopefully McDonagh can upset them, but they're the ones racing for it.
Right.
I think the Globes are going to go with The Post here, actually.
Okay. Ashley?
Any screenplay that probably has something on the line, woman kicks a girl in the crotch, gets it for me. Martin McDonagh for 3 billboards.
And again, I have to say that I can say now, and when I see The Post in a couple weeks, I've seen everything on this lineup, and that's not a big deal for someone like AJ or Ashley, but for me, that's a big deal. So, and they're all
you're seeing good films. That's the most important.
Yes, I'm actually. That's all. Well, like hashtag Movie Pass is amazing. I'll say right now that any of the 5 can win. I really enjoy. I'm once again. I've said before, go with my head, go with my heart. I can go with my heart this time and be pretty confident. Greta Gerwig's taking this, and I'm very happy to say so.
And then Aaron Sorkin wins it.
you know the script. It's funny because the way that Molly's Game flows, it's very interesting. It feels very episodic. Like it doesn't feel like a movie. It feels like it was written by a television writer because it flows like a TV show. A 2.5 hour long television show. But that's nothing against it because I enjoyed the movie. And in another year, maybe Idris Elba would get some love, but
he made the mountain between us. He burned his bed. Literally.
AJ, up next.
Well, by what's in front of me, we're jumping right to director.
Oh, God. Yeah, I'm seeing that too.
Where we've got Guillermo del Toro for The Shape of Water, Martin McDonagh for 3 Awards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, Christopher Nolan for Dunkirk, Ridley Scott for All the Money in the World, and Spielberg for The Post. I was able to narrow it down to 2, and I ended up landing on... they tend to go for, like... Well, at least what memory I have of it, they tend to go for the biggest, I guess. Long story short, I went with Nolan.
Okay. Ashley?
Just to clarify here, when did All the Money in the World get screened for the foreign press?
That's a great question because I can't answer that.
By the time these nominations came out, I was like, well, nobody's seen it. So why is it getting all this recognition?
It's really good, so I have no problem with it being
but either way, it's like...
I think it was screening, but at the same time, it'd be... They would have to have been like one of the... Probably in the very first line of people that saw it, assuming they... if you want to go in that direction, if they did. Yeah. Kind of like the whole... when the satellites got caught in a lie with the Wolf of Wall Street nominations.
I just find it weird that it makes it in, at least for a few categories here. Well, all of them bar technically one, but we'll get to that. I'm going to say Guillermo del Toro for Shape of Water.
This is so hard.
Yeah, Del Toro would have been my second choice.
This is so hard. I want to go with McDonough, and it's not out of the realm of possibility. Haven't used that yet this season, so get ready for me to say that a bunch of times. Ridley Scott's out of this, I think.
I wouldn't say that with that much confidence.
So it's down to...
there.
Remember, if Aaron Taylor Johnson told us anything, it's if the nomination looks weird, you might want to pay more attention to it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Martian from 2 years ago.
Yeah. Best comedy or musical.
Oh, don't worry, we're getting back to that.
You know, honestly, I want Nolan to finally get his just due because I've enjoyed every single film he's put out, some more so than others. And I would love to see that happen. But I'm honestly thinking right now that the Globes and the Oscars aren't going to choose the same direction, because I'm 100% saying that's not going to happen, because my predictions for the Oscars right now, well, they ain't even in here. So we're going to go a different direction here. It's going to be an interesting night for the movies. I could see Spielberg taking this, honestly. I could see them going with Nolan. And I could see them going with McDonough. I could see them going with Del Toro. Yeah, seriously, anybody can win. But, you know, honestly, when it comes down to it, I think, judging by what I'm going to say later tonight, I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to go with Martin McDonough to win this.
See, I personally didn't want to do it because he got the recognition for screenplay on my list. And I honestly think it'll be one way or the other.
Uh-huh.
Especially more than likely when we get to the Oscars, when you've obviously got screenplay and director both in play, literally for the same category, at least for Lady Bird, Get Out, and Three Billboards.
Indeed. And let's move on.
We got supporting actress. Once again, even though we do comedy or musical and drama, supporting at the Globes is all together.
Right.
Otherwise, we'd be here all fucking day.
Yes.
We have Mary J. Blige for Mudbound, Hong Chow for Downsizing, Allison Janney for I, Tonya, Laurie Metcalf for Lady Bird, and Octavia Spencer for The Shape of Water. They could go commercial on us and go with Mary J. Blige.
Correct.
I don't think I'm gonna go with that. So obviously the race has been Laurie Metcalf versus Allison Janney since the beginning.
Right.
God forbid Allison Janney, but the front runner though seems to be like, for a while it was like, oh, Allison Janney's gonna take this. She's like, it's like a J.K. Simmons sweep and all that, and then suddenly the J.K. Simmons sweep ended up being Laurie Metcalf. But Allison Janney has still been showing up a lot to where it is. You could probably still say it's a race, but Laurie Metcalf seems to be in a pretty comfortable lead. So, like I said, unless they want to go commercial and go with somebody like Mary J. Blige, I'm going to stick with Laurie Metcalf.
Okay. Ashley?
I'm sort of going the same way. The amount of momentum there has been over the actual awards being dished out from like the film critics associations and whatever, I'm probably going with Laurie Metcalf myself.
Yeah, I am dying to see I, Tonya. I'm waiting and waiting and waiting to see it. Once I finally get to see it, I can make my official proclamation to what I think is going to actually happen here. But yeah, I love the movie. I love the portrayal, and it's gonna be a good year for the Roseanne cast in 2018. So, Laurie Metcalf.
You obviously haven't Googled Roseanne since yesterday.
How can I? I've worked all day.
Don't worry about it.
Well, okay, the show's coming back, so that's what I'm referring to.
Yes.
I think AJ doesn't know the irony. They were doing a free student screening of I, Tonya over here, like in about 3 or 4 weeks. They're replacing it with bloody Den of Thieves. So you could be getting something that's in contention for awards, or a Jared Butler generic shit.
You
Yeah,
know,
I saw the trailer for that the other night.
having seen I, Tonya, I would take Den of Thieves.
Oh my
No,
god!
it's got 50 Cent and Jared Butler.
And
Dear
they're both
God.
in the trailer too.
I feel sorry for Ice Cube's kid.
I actually, in regards to Gerard Butler, I'm one of the few people that thought Gods of Egypt was kind of a guilty pleasure. So,
What about Geostorm?
oh fuck that.
and Brad Guy's
An unofficial pick from AJ there for worst actor.
Brad Guy's going with Martin McDonagh for director and Laurie Metcalf for supporting actress. Ooh. This.
That means it's time for a supporting actor.
Uh-huh.
Where we've got Willem Dafoe for The Florida Project, Armie Hammer for Call Me By Your Name, Richard Jenkins for The Shape of Water, Christopher Plummer for All the Money in the World, and Sam Rockwell for Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. Our titles just kept getting longer and longer.
Yes.
So, obviously, the race is Willem Dafoe versus Sam Rockwell. Willem Dafoe was running away with it if you look at Critics' Awards, but Rockwell's, like, almost caught up to him. Like, it's a legit race. But I don't know if it's because Aaron Taylor Johnson last year has me thinking outside the box.
Mm-hmm.
Again, much like I said, was it Kyle MacLachlan, I guess, nominated him. That's where my attention is going. So I think they're gonna double down on the fact that they are the first ones to recognize Plummer, and they're gonna actually give it to him as well. Not that will affect the Dafoe versus Rockwell race in any way, but I just think it's something kind of insane they'll do. Just, if nothing else, for the attention.
Okay, I see where you're coming from there.
And honestly, if that happens, even though I say it won't affect the Dafoe-Rockwell race, even if it's the Globes, that would put Plummer in it, which honestly I don't think is out of the realm.
No, not at all.
Well, certainly considering the circumstances that you had to film it all in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And for people that have seen it, because it doesn't come out here, I think, until like Friday for us in the UK. Apparently, it's like, apart from like one scene where they use the green screen, and if you don't notice Wahlberg's weight sort of fluctuate a little bit, you really don't notice the joint.
It flows really well.
So I'm going with Plummer as well. This is the Sylvester Stallone from 2 years ago.
It's very possible. And I agree with you, but I think, well, actually, I do agree with you. And I want to go with someone, like, it would be easy just to pick Defoe or Rockwell, and part of me wants to. But it's weird for me to say this, but once we get to televised award shows, every year you start having a trend that's broken. And something that's been all the way going up towards all the precursors ends up just done the second we get the cameras on an actual award show. I want someone to win an Oscar. This is the start for it to actually happen. And I know that this is not, it's not out of the realm of possibility. It's a possibility. It's going to happen. But I'm going to have to go with it. And I'm going to have to go with my head this time around. And I'm going to say that I want my win, and I think my win is actually going to go to Richard Jenkins.
All right.
Maybe it's crazy. Probably is. But let's say Jenkins wins. He's already in SAG, so that could put him in the race and have him be third to Rockwell and Defoe.
Possibly.
Plumber could win this. I wouldn't have a problem if Plumber wins this at all. I want to see Rockwell win. I don't think they're going safe this time around. I think they're going out in left field, and I think the only person that might be out of this race right now is probably Armie Hammer, because it doesn't seem like Call Me by Your Name really has the juggernaut status that it was before we started getting actual nominations. It's still there. It's just I think it's not going to be as big of a player as we thought it once was.
SAG really hurt it.
I know that's what I'm looking at.
But I've already figured out that. But obviously, we're not doing that video for another couple of weeks. So
yeah, I'm maybe going crazy, but I'm going with Richard Jenkins, Shape of Water.
I think we're going to go ahead and do comedy and musical in its entirety before we go to drama.
Sounds good.
Which means we're starting at actress in a comedy or musical. Mainly comedy. We have Judi Dench for Victoria and Abdul, Helen Mirren for The Leisure Seeker, Margot Robbie for I, Tonya, Saoirse Ronan for Lady Bird, and Emma Stone for Battle of the Sexes. Once again, it's obviously between two, even though Judi Dench has been doing surprisingly well. Obviously, it's not completely impossible. It could be Margot Robbie, and it's not my bias against the movie by any means, but I feel like Saoirse Ronan is going to be a consistent winner from here on out. I know, like, as regards to when they're together, Frances McDormand's not completely out, thankfully, but I feel like we're about to see Ronan start cleaning up, and it's going to start here.
Ashley?
The Ronan road keeps on rolling. I'm going with Saoirse Ronan as well. Despite SNL.
I want to go with Robbie here. I do. And it's not really biased per se, because I did closely follow the Tonya Harding saga. So when I heard about this movie and I knew about Margot Robbie playing Tonya Harding, I was all in 100%. And I can't wait to see how it's going to go. This is when things start. This is when trains begin. Judi Dench being here, it makes sense. She's doing quite well for herself. Will she work her way into the Oscar lineup? I guess we'll find out. I mean, when you're playing a character as complex as Queen Victoria, basically you have a big mountain to climb, and it's Judi Dench. So obviously, you really have to be on your A game, and she proves that time and time out she can make it here. Emma Stone being in here, I had a lot of hope for Battle of the Sexes before anything started, and it seems like the Globes want to give it something, and by that I mean nominations. But yeah, all day, every day, I have to go with Saoirse Ronan here because I love Lady Bird as a movie, and I think it's going to be a good day for Lady Bird as a film at the Globes.
All right. We may actually have a battle on our hands here.
Potentially.
For actor in a comedy or musical, we have Steve Carell for Battle of the Sexes, Ansel Elgort for Baby Driver, James Franco for Disaster Artist, Hugh Jackman from The Greatest Showman, and Daniel Kaluuya for Get Out. Well, Steve Carell's unexpected SAG nomination is very interesting.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Regardless of that, I don't think we're looking at him. Obviously, this used to be... Franco was going to run away with this.
Right.
And then Daniel Kaluuya got in SAG.
Yeah, that kind of changed things a little bit.
Now, honestly, it really could be either one. And since it's going to get brought up, I'll go ahead and do that now. I totally get why Peele is pissed that Get Out is in comedy. But at the same time, it's like, I guess... Because the thing about Get Out is it works in so many different ways. It works as a horror movie. It works with the allegory, but it also works as, like, I imagine by putting it in comedy, they're looking at the satire angle, which it makes sense as well. But I get why he's pissed off, but I don't think it's completely out of place here either. Certainly not as out of place as something like My Week with Marilyn or The Martian.
Right.
But with all that said, even though I think Daniel Kaluuya is definitely in this and he's definitely a threat, I'm going to go ahead and say Franco anyway.
Ashley?
See, I feel that The Martian and Get Out and even to some extent Baby Driver are just in here because they're like comedy dramas. And because it's got the word comedy, they think, oh, we can submit it in. So that's why. Even though obviously Get Out never had comedy attached to it, but there's enough light-hearted stuff into it to sort of perhaps warrant it. I should be on the Franco bandwagon because of Disaster Artist and Room and everything, but no, I'm going to go with Daniel Kaluuya for Get Out because this will be the Hollywood Foreign Press going, look, we're sorry we didn't give you any recognition for the screenplay, Jordan.
I do have some recognition for Get Out, but it's not here. I have been pro the entire time, and I'm going to stick with it. It's my favorite movie of the year, and I can't wait to see it again. Just the performance is just the best way to describe it to anyone that's not seen it. Imagine Jim Carrey in Man on the Moon completely forming into the person that he's trying to portray, which is Franco's Tommy Wiseau. I have to go with it. And it's definitely the one. It's nice to know once again this year, I'm not going down with any ships because all my ships are actually somewhat sailing this year. Regardless if there's a flat out win or not, at least I know everything's in proper contention and I'm not just going with my heart for no reason. So James Franco, the Disaster Artist.
By the way, I am actually biased for Margot Robbie not winning in the actress category because I watched Goodbye Christopher Robin.
Which I had in my original lineup back in August when we were doing Oscar prediction.
Yeah, then I saw it and I was like, no.
All right, then.
I can't wait till you guys see it and you'll realize, Christ.
Fry Guy saying Willem Dafoe, and because he was thinking Plumber, but he's going with a safe bet. Not be surprised if he only gets 2 nominations for Dafoe in Picture. Bry Guy says, sorry, AJ, going with Margot Robbie, even though I know Ronan's attractive. Bry Guy's going with Franco, but if Kaluuya wins, there's a possibility Franco might get snubbed at the Oscars. Yeah, that's not happening. I know Kaluuya will get in at BAFTA because he's British. That's a fair point that it's not really being talked about. Maybe he's a lot more in this race than we thought about.
Remember, BAFTA don't split it, and who's in there? Gary fucking Oldman.
We'll get to him in a minute, don't worry.
We'll find that might be a shoe-in for the BAFTA.
While we're on the topic of Kaluuya, though, in regards to him probably going to get the full lineup if you include BAFTA, there is that whole question of whether screeners got it or not. Apparently, some people, like the, in quotes, experts, are saying that they think SAG saw everything and the snubs are just the snubs. But we see every year it does just end up being a screener issue.
Oh, of course.
It is worth noting that if there really was a screener issue, Daniel Kaluuya got in SAG, but that was without the post or fandom thread. So
right.
It's hard to tell just how strong his SAG nomination really is. It could be a total, like he could be like in the top 3 for all we know, but for now it's kind of hard to tell because we don't know that for sure.
Although it isn't SAG, keep in mind that for the Writers Guild, for original screenplay, Darkest Hour and Through Billboards, neither of which are eligible for some reason.
Given the way it usually goes, I'm surprised there's not more.
Oh, there is. It's just they're like the notable ones. I I can't think the one in Adapted, or the one in Adapted as well, that sort of misses out. I can't think off the top of my head. We got a list of. No, I can't think of what it is off the top of my head. But there's at least one that's not being considered for Adapted, which was considered possibly a front runner.
All right.
Well, in the meantime, should we finish out comedy and musical?
Yep.
Picture, comedy and musical, we have The Disaster Artist, Get Out, The Greatest Showman, I, Tonya, and Lady Bird. Once again, it's obviously down to 2.
Yep.
And I'm honestly, I can see my mind changing as I look at these. Obviously, I chose Lady Bird strictly based on the fact that Get Out missed in screenplay. But then again, at the Globes, we tend to notice that things don't really add up at the Globes the way they would at another award ceremony. So, kind of like when Grand Budapest beat Birdman in this category.
I mean, I was happy with that, but I understand what you mean.
So, I can very easily see Get Out taking this, but the one I have marked here is Lady Bird. So, I guess I'm gonna stick with that, but it totally could be Get Out.
All right. Ashley?
I'm going with Get Out because it just stands out as sort of the original thing. And also because I can't wait for Jordan Peele's acceptance speech, because that could be a hot mess that the Globes might have to beep, beep, beep. Thank God for that time delay. Then again, if I've got the live feed, this could be fun.
Very true. I'm going. God, this is tough because I'm going with 2 of my favorite movies of the year here. Not my favorite movie of the year, unfortunately. As much as I want The Disaster Artist to win this, it's not in. I don't think it's in the running. I'd love to see it win out of nowhere. That'd be amazing. It's literally down to a movie that I've had win a lot of things at the Globes versus a movie that has absolutely no wins and only could walk out with Best Motion Picture, Musical, or Comedy. And yeah, I'd like to see what they're gonna say with the censors when Jordan Peele walks up to accept Best Motion Picture. So Get Out.
All right, we have 3 to go. An hour and a half later.
Yeah.
You ready to do actress in a drama?
Sure.
We got Jessica Chastain for Molly's Game, Sally Hawkins for The Shape of Water, Frances McDormand for The People Outside of Missouri, Meryl Streep for The Post, and Michelle Williams for All the Money in the World. I think it's pretty obvious, but they could go for something different. They could go Meryl Streep, and they could go Sally Hawkins. They actually really could go Meryl Streep, but I'm going to stick with who I would like to think is when we're down to 2 here, with one obviously being Saoirse Ronan and the other, of course, being Frances McDormand.
Okay. Ashley?
Actually, having seen the film, whoever stopped me from seeing it the first time around at the mystery screen, but thankfully my art house pulled it through and saying, yeah, we're showing through billboards early. Yeah, Frances McDormand all the way. Then again, I'm not seeing Shape of Water till the February, so if that comes in and takes it, it'll be like, yes, momentum.
Part of me wants Hawkins to win this because I love her performance in The Shape of Water. Like, that character is just absolutely adorable, and you just absolutely fall in love with the character because she's portrayed so well. I love everything about the movie, and I can't wait to see it again. I actually probably be watching it again later next week. Thank you, Movie Pass. I will say Michelle Williams is amazing in All the Money in the World. It's a great portrayal. Chastain, a lot of people could say what they want about it. I like Molly's Game. So, and Meryl Streep she's always a threat. But, I mean, from having a packed theater watching it on opening weekend when we got it, just some people knew exactly how to take it. Some just didn't know. I have a feeling some have never seen a Martin McDonagh movie in their life. So they didn't know exactly how the humor would go, because you would have About
You're
15
an
people
inanimate
laugh.
fucking object.
Yeah. 15 people would laugh, and then everybody was like, and it'd be like really silent, and it'd be really awkward, and I would be laughing hysterically. Yeah, Fritz has been dormant all day, every day.
Also, I'm wondering whether Streep might have the anti-momentum because of that sort of campaign about her and the Weinstein stuff. You know, if they went and gave her the award, you know, the mainstream media might, well, perhaps not the mainstream media, but the social media stuff might turn on the Globes.
I think there's enough backing for Streep in the industry, even though this isn't necessarily the industry, but just
Don't get me wrong. I think it makes sense that she's nominated, but I don't think it's going to revolve into a win, at least this year.
I would like to think they're not too worried about what social media would say.
Well,
I would hope not.
hashtag Oscars so white or something.
Yeah.
Get rid of that.
And hell, you know, if you, that's to me why Christopher Plummer would appease it as well. You know, because it'd mean even more. You know,
It's a fuck you
problem
space.
with yeah, it's the middle finger to Spacey.
Yeah, I can see that.
If he hadn't have dealt with it the way that he did, he might have still been in there, and you might have seen House of Cards appear a lot more in these awards, possibly.
Are ready for actor in a drama?
Yeah, I think this might be pretty cut and dry, but maybe not.
Yeah, it looks pretty easy. We we have Timothy Chalamet for Call Me by Your Name, Daniel Day-Lewis for Phantom Thread, Tom Hanks for The Post, Gary Oldman for Darkest Hour, and Denzel Washington for Bremen J. Israel Esquire. Obviously, the critic race is Chalamet with quite a lead and Oldman, but I'm pretty sure Chalamet is going to be one of those. He'll still be nominated, of course, but this big momentum that he's had will probably be strictly with the Critics Awards. And once we get to these televised awards, Oldman's going to be just fine. Oldman's going to just blow through this. So, yeah.
All right. Ashley?
Gary Oldman.
I knew that was going to happen. Always count on Sounders. Part of me wants to go with Tom Hanks here, but I'm not going to. Daniel Day-Lewis is not out of this either. I've only seen a trailer for Phantom Thread. That's all I have had the luxury of seeing. So it's possible. But yeah, I think it's pretty safe bet to go with Gary Oldman here.
That was simple enough, wasn't it?
Yes, indeed.
All right. Let's finish with Best Picture Drama, where we have Call Me by Your Name, Dunkirk, The Post, The Shape of Water, and 3 awards outside Ebbing, Missouri. Usually we would say this category is The Kiss of Death, but you remember what won Best Picture Drama last year? I'm asking you specifically, Owen. What won Best Picture Drama last year?
I know what correctly won. I don't care about what happened afterwards. I should have turned off the broadcast. I never would have known anything. I would have been a lot happier. Thank God we didn't have live reaction podcast back then. Oh my God. I probably would have said, I definitely would have said a lot of things that you guys have never heard me say before.
Oh, I was there. I was there. You weren't saying shit. You. Oh, I guess I should say what I'm choosing.
Yeah.
The Post. It just seems to be the most obvious. Like, I could actually see it being something like Dunkirk.
Right.
But this, by the way, I was saying this was going to come back. This was the reason I'm choosing it for screenplay as well. I think it's honestly, it's just the most obvious choice.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I could see it being, a few things, but I think that's the safest bet.
Ashley?
I'm gonna go with Shape of Water. I'm probably too attached to that film because it's the closest thing I can think to a sci-fi film getting recognition at the Oscars.
This is tough. I have a couple options here. It's down to two, which it's gonna feel like I'm piggybacking, but I can assure you I'm not. I don't think this goes to The Shape of Water or Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, because I think they're both still in the Oscar race. I do think this is The Kiss of Death, and I want to go with The Post, and I thought about it, and it's really like racking my brain to try to figure out what direction I want to go with this, because The Post is probably not on the top list for Best Picture right now, provided it gets nominated, which I don't see a reason why it's not going to. I'm gonna say right now that I could actually see this happening. Two movies that I didn't have win anything all night are the ones that are gonna walk out with the big awards wins at the end of the evening. I picked Get Out. I'm gonna pick Dunkirk.
Ooh, you went opposite to what I thought. I thought you were going to say "Call Me by Your Name."
I'm going with Dunkirk because I think this is the highest it goes.
Because I'm sort of wondering whether "Call Me by Your Name." I mean, I'm not trying to re-trigger you with the Moonlight thing last year, but
Yeah.
the problem is it's like when you've got two guys that could be seen for lead actor, which apparently they might have decided with Armie Hammer. But even then, what happens with Stolberg? There's enough good performances in there for it to sort of like possibly sneak in at the Globes, and then through that momentum possibly get nominated 2 weeks later. In terms of the Oscars, that, to be honest, that's my second choice behind Shape of Water.
I think right now a lot of people will probably be under the impression that we are in a 3-horse race right now for picture at this juncture. Obviously, we haven't had nominations or anything, but if you judge by how things are going right now, it's literally Get Out, Lady Bird, and Three Billboards. I'd say, I think Adrian and I had this conversation on the phone. Shape of Water is definitely in contention as well, but I think that's as far as it goes. I mean, AJ, if you had to guess right now to pick a 5 without having any idea what's going to happen with the nominations, would you say that that would be an accurate list of the top 4, with Dunkirk being the number 5th spot? Somewhere in the grouping would be those 5 are the ones that are really considerably challenging for Best Picture right now.
The thing I consistently hear the top 3 being, well, actually, I don't know. It keeps fluctuating. Get Out and Lady Bird are definitely in there.
Right.
So, I'm not. I actually have no idea. Actually, I would actually say maybe The Shape of Water is 6th.
Okay.
I don't say that with any confidence, but
okay.
I know you say so. So what did you went with? Call Me by Your Name?
No, I went with Dunkirk.
Dunkirk.
And you say because, and that reasoning was you're still going on the Kiss of Death theory?
I am going with the Kiss of Death theory, and that's what I wanted to go with The Post, but I mean, it was either The Post or Dunkirk, and I was thinking to myself, I was like, Dunkirk seems to be pretty locked when it comes to Nolan, and that's the only one that and Picture are the only things, along with a couple tech awards here and there. I see it getting a lot of nominations. I don't see it walking away with anything.
And because it's the only thing we can sort of go off at the minute, and obviously we'll get to the picks on this soon, considering the award ceremony is on the 11th.
Right.
The best picture for Critics' Choice is Big Sick, Call Me By Your Name, Darkest Hour, Dunkirk, Florida Project, Get Out, Lady Bird, Post, Shape of Water, and 3 Billboards.
The Big Sick has had such an interesting year. We forgot to bring up the fact that they completely snubbed the Big Sick here.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they
More
have
racism.
a fucking comedy category.
More race. Yeah. I mean, I would say that's where Get Out goes, but it's sort of no. To be honest, I take, and the only reason Greatest Showman's in there is because it's a musical.
Yeah. Remember when
if it was me, I'd have taken out Greatest Showman, and it's just like, just because it says musical in the title doesn't mean there has to be something involving music in there.
I mean, I really enjoyed Greatest Showman, but when it comes down to it, I understand why you see things that way. Bry Guy says,
I think there's stronger musicals out there, and I mean, obviously, if you look in previous years, there's stronger musicals than this. I think it's just in here for the sake of filling the musical part.
it's possible, but there's been years in the past that there's not been any musical in
Then
the
again,
best
surely the best
category.
musical of the year is Baby Driver. I mean, okay, there's not a lot of singing around to it, but there's a shit ton of music.
Bry Guy says Gary Oldman for Darkest Hour. He says Darkest Hour is going to be big at the BAFTAs. And he says to you, AJ, he wouldn't be surprised if Denzel gets snubbed at the BAFTAs.
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah.
Oh,
I can say something, but I'm not going to say it live. So, yes.
And because I'll forget before they announce on the 8th, because they always announce it the day before, for the Rising Star Award at the BAFTAs. Mm-hmm. I'm calling it now. Barry Keoghan is going to be one of the 5 or 6.
Okay.
For his Dunkirk and Killing of a Sacred Deer performances. And if he isn't, BAFTA are dicks.
Right Guy says 3 Billboards, but it's going to be more of a race when the PGA comes out on Friday.
Yeah, that's the confusing thing. We've got literally over the course of, by the end of this week, I think the WGA's being announced, the PGAs and the DGAs.
WGA is Thursday, PGA is Friday.
I think the DGA's is
somewhere.
Okay, so that same day as the Critics' Choice, and then the BAFTAs are on the 9th. So literally, depending when we do the Oscars picks, we might have every other award thing to help us out.
No, we will, because that's pretty much how we figured it out. We're going to wait until the last guild goes through before we do our Oscar predictions, just to give us a little bit of cushion. Considering the fact we started in August, I think we have a right to have a little bit towards the end.
But then it's gonna get really crazy, because before we even get the Oscar nominations on the 23rd, we're gonna have the PGA winner on the 20th and the SAG Awards on the 21st. So we're gonna have to do that last prediction video like as soon as the DGAs are out, more or less.
All right, that's fine. So I think that's our show based on that.
Oh yeah, and for people following like everything, National Society of Film Critics is on the 6th, which is the last major critics award we need.
Right. Podcasts are coming for the Critics' Choice Awards very soon. Our final Oscar predictions are coming soon. We'll have podcasts on BAFTA predictions as well as the guilds. And when it's all said and done, we'll do the Film Independent Spirit Awards as well. But our Oscar predictions to end the 2018 award season.
Reactions as well for selected ones too.
Popcast will follow after all televised award shows with AJ, Ashley, and myself. Should be rather interesting to see, because it's going to be interesting to see how we do that. We're doing this the same way we do wrestling podcasts actually this year. So if you want to hear the 3 of us complain or wax poetic about what we love, just tune in right after the awards are over, and we'll go live and talk all about it here on the Popcast Network. So AJ just put out his worst of 2017 video. That's currently available here on the network. A lot of movies, a lot of die-hard top contenders have been reviewed. AJ's got almost all of them in some sort, one way or another, reviewed on the network. If you want to check out AJ's movie reviews playlist, we have like the review that just came out, a very controversial review of I, Tonya, along with my favorite movie of the year, The Disaster Artist, and All the Money in the World, and of course Jumanji is on there as well. So yeah, that just came out earlier this weekend as well. We've got Ashley Sippin' Snacks, which have the name, which I still don't have yet. We'll get that figured out. Wrestling podcast, and of course, we're going to be back here on Monday for Raw, and back here Thursday at some point to be announced for our first 100% nothing else New Japan Pro Wrestling Wrestle Kingdom podcast.
I've also just realized if we're doing a show next Wednesday, we might be doing back-to-back podcasts. Considering the choices the day after.
So stay tuned to my Twitter at Suro and Disney for more information about the schedule. I'll try to put it up in some sort of a schedule form on here as well. And Bry Guy has one question before we end. How is Seth Meyers going to do as a host?
That's an interesting one, because he's sort of unproven material, unproven cannon fodder.
Fair point.
I think he should be okay. I don't know if he'll be good. I think he'll just be solid.
Right.
He feels extremely safe.
Yeah. I don't think they want to. They don't want to. Well, keep in mind, last year was obviously Jimmy Fallon, so you could consider that safe.
So, Seth Meyers is so safe. Have you? First off, the answer is probably no. But have you ever seen his talk show?
I've seen clips of it when it's trending on social media.
9 times out of 10, his guests are either past SNL cast members where all he talks about is SNL, or his fucking family.
Well,
those are the clips I don't see because they're the ones that don't trend on social media.
And that's 90% of his show.
Yeah, I've never watched anything involving Seth Meyers before. I've seen some SNL stuff. That's about it.
I watched that Chris Gethard thing he did about staying up all night.
Mm-hmm.
Could have been worse. The Golden Globes could have been hosted by James Corden. And it'd be like, get out of my life!
I'm not going to lie, it's probably coming. I really think it's a good possibility. It's going to happen one of these days.
2019, everybody. And it'll be even more awkward when Peter Rabbit's up for, well, I guess would it be best animated because it's live action? I can't remember whether like the original 2 Smurf films were considered animation or not because they were live action. Which is, of course, the sort of issue that the Lego movie had. And Lego Ninjago would have, to some extent.
So
I don't remember there being any live action in Lego Batman.
I don't think there. No, there was the clips from the TV show. I think that's it.
Yeah.
I don't know if those would count or not.
I keep forgetting that Lego Ninjago exists, and I saw it.
Yes. It's like, Lego. Okay, you're open up to loads of possibilities for franchises. Lego Batman. Okay, you're restricting it down, but you still got DC, so you got quite a bit. Ninjago. So it's literally just a thing that Lego made up to make ninja characters. What a strong choice.
Like they had such a good streak going too.
Yeah. I didn't see I didn't see the film, so I can't really say anything. But I really loved Lego Batman. I really would hope that it starts getting a little bit of consideration somewhere. I hope it gets into the Oscar lineup. I don't think it will, though. This seems like one of these years we're going to have a bunch of out there choices, and Coco. That might be the end of it. A lot of the acclaimed animated films and Coco. Something else might sneak in, but that seems very logical at this point.
This would be a good year for them to go back to 3.
Yeah, I agree.
But they won't, I'm sure.
But yeah, they picked the most odd 3 of all, too. It's like Coco, the Breadwinner, and...
Like Vincent.
Yeah, that would be the 3 for sure. I guess we'll see. But like I said, that's our show. Thanks for joining us this morning. And if you're listening in archive, thank you for joining us in general tonight. This is officially the last Popcast 2017 and the last video on the network for 2017. So yes, we move on to 2018 tomorrow with our first wrestling podcast of 2018. Ashley will finally get his Sip and Snack segment named properly within this year at some point. I don't know exactly when it will happen. Gaming with Ash.
Apparently, I've got to come up with a name, so
yep.
Shit.
Gaming with Ash will be returning too. AJ's movie review. Versus returns next week as well. Obviously, AJ took the weekend off given the fact that had a lot of film content to review. So Versus took the weekend off, but it'll be back in 2018. So in the meantime, Ashley, where can we find you on social media?
I am on Twitter at AshesMyNameUK.
Ashley is the only other member of the panel other than myself that is available on social media. You cannot reach AJ on social media, but if you need to get hold of AJ for any reason, you can contact me if you'd like at Sir Owen Disney, or follow our Popcast Network Twitter at Popcast
In the
Network.
comments.
Yeah, leave comments if you'd like. Check out our Facebook fan page at Popcast Network. And if you have any ideas for Sip and Snack versus any other regular segments, want to become part of the guest star series, or even just talk about movies, wrestling, theme parks, Halloween Horror Nights in general, just shoot me an email, siroandisney@gmail.com. So in the meantime, I want to thank you guys and girls out there for watching. It's been a wonderful 2017 here on the Popcast Network, and I can assure you the best is yet to come. And until tomorrow, boys and girls, that's all we got to say about that.